Welcome on in, golf fans. It's your boy Gsluke here with our round 3 live stream here on the prop and betting side of things. Gonna get you guys ready for all of your exposure tomorrow. But first off, we'll look at some of the conditions, stat averages out there from round 2. We'll look through some of the strategy involved here in Underdog and PrizePicks, and a few pieces of exposure over here on each site you guys might want to consider for yourself. So you can see I've already done a little bit of deep diving. We'll talk about a few props here in a second, but we got some stat averages to go through, some weather, look at each of these different courses. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic Friday yourselves and are ready to talk some weekend golf here at the AMEX. Before we hop on into it, I remind you guys of the sponsor of this live stream, which will be the guys over there at the Bet the Number site. Make sure to check them out in the description here in the live stream. There's a link down there to check out Bet the Number. Going to be a tool that we use quite a bit here throughout the live stream. In terms of your averages, played the easiest over at the Nicklaus course, which was expected, about 4.4 under par. Quinta played 3.25 under. Then the stadium course was the hardest out of the 3 by far. If we take a look at the averages at each course, you'll see all of those reflected. The birdie average by far the lowest at stadium. Next up would be Quinta at just over 5. And then the highest out of all of them was the Nicklaus course down here, almost 6.25 per round. So whether it was the stroke average, the birdie average, bogey average, you name it, you can see all the averages across all 3 courses, which we'll come back to a little bit later. The bogey average, not all that important, as we don't even have those props posted out there in books. We're more so, a little bit more concerned about the stroke averages, and then what we have over there on the birdie or better side. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm a little bit sick. Was able to hold it off a little bit better during the showdown stream, but if I sound a little bit down or a little bit low energy, that is going to be the reason why. But if you take a look at these boards, I saw a ton of value. And in fact, over here on the underdog side, I would argue that it's one of the better boards we've had for quite some time. I had a nuke slip that I've already entered for over 2.5 units, which included this under on Jason Duffner that you can see on the right. But they also had Patrick Rogers at 3.5 birdies, which does not make sense if you know the golf course that he's playing. I apologize for that, guys. Hopefully it muted for you there. Well, you can tell I'm hacking up over here, so I'm battling through for you guys, though. But Patrick Rogers, they had it 3.5 birdies, and he's playing the Nicklaus course over there for tomorrow. So he's the kind of guy I have projected for closer to 5.5 birdies. And it's not like Duffner's playing on the stadium course. That's where he played out there for today. But Jason Duffner is projected over the average from Quinta. Just to go back to that, the average of Quinta was 5.19 per round. And he's at 5.5 over here for a projection. If you know anything about Jason Duffner, he's been a bottom tier player for quite some time, and he's not the kind of guy I'd expect to be making 6 birdies all that often. So obviously the Patrick Rogers prop was taken off the board. We'll have to see if that one ends up getting reposted. That one was especially off when it came to the projection. But what I want to look at here, some of the other birdie lines that we have posted, because even some of the strokes lines I was looking at looked really off. And then those birdie lines, I mean, if they have a 3.5 on Patrick Rogers, like what else are they laying out there for us to go out there and smash? So you got this under Jason Duffner already, which you can go ahead and throw into a slip if you guys want to. But let's see if there's anything else that really stands out from the birdie perspective. So just to give you guys some perspective, like a Brandt Snedeker at 4 birdies, like that's the kind of number I'd be expecting for Jason Duffner. So to be able to get him at 5.5 birdies for an under is an absolute steal. Battling through it over here. Gosh, it all hit me at once. I was so good during that showdown stream, and then all of a sudden, it's like it's hitting me like a rock all at once. So the birdie or better lines look a little bit more appropriate across the board. Billy Horschel, if memory serves me correctly, is playing over there on the stadium course, because if not at 4.5 birdies, he could be the kind of guy that we look at. So yeah, he's playing on the stadium course, unfortunately. A lot of these guys that they have at 4.5 birdies are playing over there on the stadium course. But if we could find somebody like a Patrick Rogers, who they happen to post at a way lower birdie line, like that would be huge. Like, look at Mackenzie Hughes. Mackenzie Hughes is one of those guys. I'm pretty sure he's playing one of the other golf courses. So let's just go ahead and double check on that. The Mackenzie Hughes, yeah, he's playing at the Nicklaus tournament course. Like this is gonna be one of those spots that we can take for an over. So I already played the Jason Duffner prop. I'm probably gonna take him out of the slip. You could enter that for a little 2-man right there. But Mackenzie Hughes at 4 birdies, like he could be an option to go out there and take for that. I know Spawn's playing at stadium. He's there at 4.5. Same thing with somebody like Enrico Hoey. I also believe that Charlie Hoffman will be at the stadium course out there for tomorrow. Snedeker's a lower tier player, so I kind of get why he's at 4 birdies. Anyone else? So I guess Billy Horschel, I hope that he would have been over there on like La Quinta or something like that. Those are the ones that really stand out if we're looking for ones that are like playing the wrong course. But we also had a lot of guys that were on the stadium course posted for way too low of strokes lines. So what I saw were some potential fade opportunities when it came to strokes for guys that were playing on the hardest golf course. So if we're going to try and fade somebody, do we want to fade guys that are playing over here in stadium where it's only playing just a hair under par, right, as opposed to 3-4 under par like you had at these other golf courses? So I'm going to look through this, try and find a few guys that were playing at the stadium course. I know one that stood out to me was the Justin Lauer prop, which, by the way, just to show you guys this, Justin Lauer is minus 155 for the over. He's playing on the hardest golf course, and we can pair him up with Mackenzie Hughes, who I'm not sure if he has a line over here in PrizePicks. I guess we'll check. So he doesn't, but he's down at 67.5 strokes. So they've gone up at 4.5 under par, right? And then he's only got a 4 birdie line. Like, that's an absolute smash spot. I don't know what kind of hex the bookies put on me. They had to have me out here feeling like this. But whatever it is, it's working. Let's put it that way. Good thing I'm muting my mic there because, that sounded nasty. So let's go ahead and throw those back in there, though. It was the Justin Lauer problem, in case you guys didn't see that before. And then this Mackenzie Hughes over on birdies that, in my opinion, is probably at least 1 birdie too low. So I've got to enter it myself. So let me actually go over on my app and do so. Ugh. Gosh, I was feeling so good until I started this live stream, and now it's just all falling apart. But hey, I'm not always going to feel great. That's just reality of life, I guess. Ugh. All right, and then there's Justin Lauer. Sorry, I meant to mute my mic there, guys. My apologies. I'll try and do it for the future. So yeah, it's the over on 4 birdies at Hughes. It's also the over on strokes for Justin Lauer. That's going to give you a 3.24x payout because you're getting a little bit of anti-correlation, but they're playing different golf courses, right? So it's not like you're fading guys from the same golf course and truly getting anti-correlation. It's more so that you're just taking advantage of the lines that are, mispriced depending on what course they're on. This is part of the reason I really like this golf course when it comes to betting, is because you're able to go out there and anti-correlate slips. And I put that in quotes because it's not true anti-correlation across the different venues, but you're going to get the payout shift like you would normally get out here on tour. So that's just another example of a slip that you can take. If you guys wanted to add on top of that and add in this Duffner under, if you did so, sorry, it looks like they just took that one off the board as well. But like, if they end up reposting that at 5.5 birdies, that could be another spot to go out there and mix in. All right, over here on the PrizePicks side, they've got this JJ Spawn under at 71 I was looking at. So he is playing on the harder golf course. He is playing over here on the harder golf course, so we do want to keep that in mind. But what I'm seeing over here with a JJ Spawn is he's at 69.5. If you take a look at the sportsbook line, so just to show you that, he's at that number in even money over here on Draftkings. I believe he's at the same number over here on Fanduel, but I guess we won't speculate, right? Let's go ahead and actually check that out. Yeah, 69.5, like you see there at the top. Then he's minus 110, like you see over there on the right side. Not sure whether the formatting on, FanDuel is really screwed up over here with the bets that they're posting. Makes it a little bit harder to go through the board, but he's at even money, a stroke and a half lower, which is why I was looking for that kind of an under. So I'm not sure if it's a prop I'm going to take. I would rather this be a 1.5 discrepancy on one of the 2 easier golf courses, but it's still 1.5 stroke discrepancy. So they have these guys at 4.5 birdies. The average is about 3.8 birdies per round. I guess I would want to see what they have them at in like Caesars for their birdie lines, because I have no real comparison for these guys that are at 4.5. So let's see. So Cantley's at 4.5. Sorry, those are the pars are better. Let's find the birdie props. So there's Justin Thomas birdies is at 5.5 and about even money. So that's an entire birdie higher than what they have over here on books, which I guess means that they really give these players a lot more credit than what PrizePicks is, because PrizePicks only has JJ Spawn gaining like a stroke to the field, right? It's about a 72 average. They have JJ Spawn gaining about a stroke to the field. Guys like Justin Thomas, they have gaining like 1.7 birdies to the field. Over here in PrizePicks, we only have them gaining like 0.7 to the field. So it looks like the sports books, they have these sort of players gaining like 2-3 strokes to the field, as opposed to what you ended up having today. And I do have to say, I kind of agree with that. The talent level of the guys that are playing on the stadium course tomorrow are the guys that played on the Nicklaus course today. And it's by far the best grouping of players. So round number 1, just to show you this, the stadium course played over par round 1, played 0.23 over par. Round 2 played under par with a little bit of a better field strength. Round number 3, I think it's going to play like a whole stroke under par. So somebody like a JJ Spawn might have to feel like may only have to go out there and like match the field average. They go out there and push that. Oh, miserable over here, guys. My bad. If I could control it, I would. But yeah, JT over here at 4.5 birdies, like he's also the sort of player that, you know, if he goes out there, an average day is probably going to be at least 4 birdies. Like I know if we take a look at the average from round 2, it was only 3.81 per round. Round 1, it was 3.5 per round. So with the scoring average a little bit improving, right, that went up significantly. If it goes to a -1 scoring average, which is kind of what I'm expecting with the better talent level, at least like a half a stroke under is what I'd be projecting for. That birdie average is going to be at least 4 per round. I'd say with the upside to be even close to 4.25 per round, which would make guys like a JT, just like Spawn, he was almost at that field average, a really good value out there towards the over. So PrizePicks has this posted, I think, incorrectly. Like I think that they have these at 2 like negative of lines. Like I think that you should have these guys at 5 birdies, probably. You're some of your top tier players. So this combination of 2 might be what I go with. I mean, JT's got elite tier course history around the stadium course. He's done a really good job around there. He's got a high ball flight to combat some of the, you know, really firm conditions that they're going to have. And then JJ Spawn, I mean, he's been on fire for the last few weeks. He has some of the best form of anyone out there in the field. Like this feels like a no-brainer to go out there and mix in for a 2-man. So that's going to go out there and pay 2.75x. It's not quite the 3.25x that we got over there on the underdog side, but I think it's just another case of the misprices, right? Over here on the underdog side, you know, I think that they're a little bit too favorable for some of the players. Whereas over here on the PrizePicks side, I think they're not as favorable as they should be on some of your top tier players. So you got really good spread in the pricing across each site. Each site really has their own take on what they expect for tomorrow, which means depending on what you think for these players, you're going to have some really good value to take on both sides. So if you want to anti-correlate some slips, right, you saw us do that over there in Underdog. Over here on the PrizePicks side, you could do a lot of the same as well. So you can see they've got some of your lower tiered players down at 5.5 birdies, including Patrick Rogers, right? Who's, by the way, is at 5.5 birdies here. That he was at 3.5 over there in Underdog, which is just pretty crazy when you think about it that way. Let me see if they have anything for Duffner. So yeah, Duffner, they only have a strokes lineup, but they're at 69.5 strokes. A lot of value that you can find across both of these different sites here. So that's probably going to be it out there for the prop section. I've got to enter this PrizePicks slip for myself, which you're going to see me bring up a laptop over here. Don't mind what I'm doing over here while I go ahead and do so. And then we're going to go through some 3 balls and matchups. So just give me like 30 seconds to go ahead and do this. And then we'll go on to that side. And if you're wondering why I have to go and do this, it's because I've been limited on each of these sports books like 5 times. So I'm on like account number 5 working on, you know, trying to take down these books. So that's the reasoning for this, right? I have to go out there, use these different accounts. The ones that you see on my live streams are obviously not my main accounts. So yeah, don't take my unit size for what it is or what you see on live stream, right? I'm not entering $5 slips. Let's just put it that way, right? Not going to give you guys the exact dollar amount so that you can't go out there and track it if your PrizePicks are Underdog. But I can tell you it is significantly more than $5. Just an order of magnitude or 2 higher. Let's put it that way. All right. Let's do that. So yeah, 2.75x payout. It's not ideal, but you know, we'll live with it. It's a good enough payout to go out there and mix it in, especially when I think JT should be at 5 birdies, if not 5.5, like you saw on the sportsbook line. Just to show you where I got that from, right? Caesars has him at 5.5. He's even money, right? -110 in either direction. And we're getting him for 4.5 birdies. Same thing with JT Spawn. He's down at 69.5 strokes, and we're getting them 1.5 strokes higher. So pretty much no matter what other site we're entering these on. By the way, I already entered that slip, so we're good to go. You're going to find some value over here for tomorrow. I love it. It's I'd be using the sports books as like the best lines. In my opinion, these lines that you have over here in the sports books are pretty accurate. Like, it's probably where I'd put it. Hope you're feeling better soon. That cough is no fun. Yeah, I got it like yesterday. It was just like a scratchy cough. Now it's just fucking, it's killing me, bro. I didn't think it was going to be anything serious, and now I'm sitting here dying. And of course, it's when I'm live streaming that it's hitting me, right? What's going on, Phil? Your boy's making a comeback. Sanjay, I saw that. He's got a good golf course for it too tomorrow. So hopefully he keeps it going. Good shout out for Nick Taylor and Sam Burns. Absolutely. Eric Cole also got the job for us done as well. So that was sweet. Do I think the top golfers who aren't playing the stadium course are in good shape? Absolutely. If you want to check out my Showdown live stream, I did it over there on the Ship It Nation YouTube channel. But yeah, of the guys that are 8K plus in Showdown, there are 5 guys that are playing off of the stadium course. So of the 23 guys, it's like 18 of them are on stadium. I mean, Showdown, you just play those other 5 guys, right? So yeah, I think they're in a good spot. Who are my 2 core plays for the NT course? I don't do that kind of thing, Bo. So unfortunately, I'm not going to answer your question. It's just not something that I do. So let's go through a few plays on here. So we already talked through the Underdog and PrizePicks stuff. Let's go through some 3 balls and that sort of thing. So, and by the way, Bo, if you have any questions about specific players, I'll give you breakdowns. You know, I'll do 2-on-2s, that sort of thing. But you're asking me to just pick 2 players to go out there and make lineups for you on, and that is not something I'm going to do. So, and it's just not my thing. Never has been my thing. But questions where it's like, you know, one-on-ones, you want me to break down certain players? Absolutely. That's what I love to go through. So if you have that kind of question, let me know. If not, I'm sorry, bro. It's nothing I can do there. Let me bring up the 3 balls out here on each site that we have all that to compare to. So here's the 2 balls over there in Caesars. Same thing over here in Fanduel. We seem to get the best odds over here in Fanduel, so I'll go ahead and throw that towards the front of the hopper. And I also want to bring up Bet the Number, who, by the way, is the sponsor of this live stream. So if you guys haven't already checked out their website, make sure to go ahead and do so. There's a link in the description of the live stream. But they have the best up-to-date leaderboard when it comes to shots gained metrics. It updates live, unlike a lot of the other ones out there. And you have a lot of extra stats on here. So you get fairway percentage, green regulation percentage already loaded in. Birdies are better, bogeys are worse, which really helps us out there from the prop perspective. And this is just one of the 1,000 pages that they do, right? They've got a whole prop page, which helps us out a ton when we're going hole by hole. We've got the player page. They've got the matchup page, which is what we're going to do for right now. And I mentioned that we needed to wait until we got here to round 3 to use this matchup tool because we needed some data to work with. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the last, actually, I guess we could do live. The issue is we're only going to have 1 round of data to work with a lot of these matchups, but I guess we can make that work. So let me bring up the tournament page again. We're going to need the shots gained metrics to go through some of the players that are hot. And yeah, we're going to use the 1 round sample size that we have on 2/3 of the field to go out there and make our decisions. So we're not going to be betting on anyone that's on the stadium course for today, just because we don't have the shots gained metrics for them over the first few days. So I'm going to choose to stay away from those players and more so to keep it on the guys that we actually know how they're playing on. So let's do that. It's crazy that Duffner actually chalked us. Yeah, I agree. He had a bunch of shots to 3 feet. So tip of the cap to him, honestly. Nothing you can really say there. And that's going to happen, right? It's golf betting. It's 50-50 props. So it doesn't surprise me all that much. Happens all the time. And usually when that happens, I look at it as like, hey, good for that guy. And our other slip cash, so we profited. So I really couldn't give a fuck either way, right? It's not like it's the end of the world, right? We still made money. So it's not like I'm tripping about it. So let's go through this a little bit. So let's go through some of the ball strikers. And what we want to do here is try and find somebody that's matched up against somebody that's sucked ball striking. And I wish that we could do this by pairing on here where we can kind of see like the ball striking stats for guys back to back. Maybe that's something I'll talk to the Bet the Number guys about doing because that'd be really nice in this kind of scenario. But if we take a look at the top end of the board here, we can find some of those players. One that sticks out would be Carson Young. I know the Bet the Number guys were really big on him heading into the week. So we'd have to see who he's playing against. And we also have Mark Hubbard here. So I'm going to go ahead and look up those 2. So let's start with Hubbard, and then we'll also go through the other one. So Hubbard is minus 110 out there against Daniel Berger. So let's go ahead and deep dive Daniel Berger. Actually, let's go ahead and just do it over here. So let's go Daniel Berger. versus Mark Hubbard. So what this is going to do, it's going to import the stats live from this event. Obviously, Mark Hubbard's playing a lot better than Daniel Berger when it comes to score, but we're more so worried about the shots gained metrics down here. They both gained off the tee, but you can see the approach play for Hubbard's a lot better. And also the putter has been a lot better for Hubbard. So he's been better in pretty much every category. Off the tee is almost a little bit of a toss-up. What I really want to draw our attention to down here is that Hubbard's posting a lot more birdie production, and the bogey or worse is pretty much, it's the exact same actually out there for each player. It's just that Hubbard's being more aggressive, setting up more birdie looks, and then ultimately cashing in on more of those birdie looks. And you can see he's hitting 16 greens as opposed to just 15 greens of regulation over there for Daniel Berger. Now, this is only a 1-round sample size, so we can't look into this all that much. But Mark Hubbard is undoubtedly the in-form player, and you're getting them there for -110. Like, I don't think that's the worst idea. And that's coming from somebody that is a huge Daniel Berger fan. Like, I'm one of the biggest fans of Berger of anyone in the world, and I'm potentially going out there and fading him. So, yeah, he's, what is he, -120, sorry, -105 over here on DraftKings. Like, that might be the better spot to do it just because the number's better. And let's see what he is over here in Caesars. Yeah, -125, -105. So yeah, the -105 is probably the best number we're going to get on a Mark Hubbard. But yeah, I'd potentially be looking at that out there for a bet. We could also look at a few other of those poppers. So Carson Young is another one I wanted to look at. So let's take those two out of there, add Carson Young into the mix. So sorry, Carson Young, not Cameron Young. Got to use the right Young there. And then let's see who he's playing against, because I don't know who he's paired up with. Ideally, we want him to be paired up with somebody who's really struggling. So he's -150. That tells us a lot about how Molinax is playing. But let's take a look at statistically how it's been working out. So if you take a look at just the round that they had on the stadium course, the averages, the birdies are from more than one round, but the shots gained metrics are only from that stadium course. You can see Carson Young gained nearly 5 strokes on approach. Molinax was into the negative with his shots gained ball striking. In fact, his only positive category that really carried him was nearly 4 strokes gained around the green. That screams luck sack to me. And if you take a look at all the other metrics, I mean, he laps them in everything but pars, right? And pars aren't really something that you want to be leading in around this kind of golf course. So yeah, Carson Young would check that kind of box as well. If you just want to take a look at the raw shots gained metrics, that sort of thing. I mean, Molinax, you can see lost off the tee, right? Was a slight gainer on approach, like I mentioned, but he's only made 9 birdies this week. You take a look at the other side of things, Carson Young has been much more aggressive and has been taking advantage a lot more, right? He's got 13 birdies or better on the week, only 2 bogeys or worse mixed in. I know the -150 is not great, but like maybe you parlay those two together. So let's see what the line is over here in DraftKings. And I'm not sure if they let you parlay these over here at DraftKings. But I know there's plenty of books out there that would let you. The line is better over here on Fanduel. So I guess if you're going to bet it as just a straight, probably better to do so over here on the Fanduel side. But yeah, maybe parlaying these just because they're both minus money might not be the worst idea over there for your exposure. So those would be a few examples of the kind of 3 balls and matchups I'd be looking at. Unfortunately, it's not the kind of week where we're going to have all the data to work with, right? Normally when we get to round number 3, we'd have 2 full rounds for everyone in the field. But in the case of these guys that we have the shots gained metrics for, it's only going to be 1 out of the first 2 days. So it doesn't give us the full picture on these sort of players. But if we were going to go through a few other names to maybe check out yourself, if you guys want to find some 3 balls for tonight, Taylor Moore has a really good stat profile, gaining both off the tee and on approach, but losing strokes putting. Same thing with Eric Van Rooyen, gains both off the tee and on approach. Obviously, we took him for a bet today, and I think he ended up tying out there with Glover, so obviously didn't end up cashing us, but we got our money back. Maybe you look to him for a play out there tomorrow for a 2-ball. These sort of guys that have room for improvement, like a Svensson would fit that description, gained over 2 strokes ball striking and then lost 2 strokes of the putting, are the kind of guys that you might want to look to in these sort of matchups. The reason for that, by the way, is a lot of times, when you're gaining on approach and then you're losing with the putter, you have a really good chance to go out there and bounce back and have a better day tomorrow. Whereas if you're matched up against somebody that was getting it all done around the green, kind of like Molinax was, where he's kind of luck sacking with the 4 strokes around the green, a lot of times those guys come back down to earth a little bit. So, if you can find both at the same time, somebody that's striping it, going against somebody that got a little bit lucky, is where you can really find some value over there on the matchup board. So yeah, Carson Young, I think, was a great example of that. Just the books are wise to it, right? They're not completely blind about looking at the stats. And clearly it's something that they've incorporated into their process. So It's unfortunate that they're getting sharper as the time goes on, but yeah, that's how I handle my 3 balls and all that kind of stuff. 7K looks to be where it's at, leaving money on the table. Yeah, so I touched on all of that in the Showdown live stream, Bo, but that's exactly what I'm doing. So over there on the Patreon page, I give a better breakdown of exactly what I'm telling my Patreons to do. But yeah, you're going to take some ownership. Like if you're going to play the guys that aren't playing Stadium Course, you're going to be taking like 40% of the guys up top. So you better be leaving salary on the table if you're doing so, if you want any chance of not duplicating yourself. That's all I've got over here for the round 3 live stream, guys. Going to go ahead and cut it off there. For all the prop slips I'm entering over there in Underdog or PrizePicks, make sure to join my Patreon page. There's a link in the description of this live stream to that. On there, I'm posting every single slip that I'm getting to, as well as all the different thought process behind it, whether it's the stat averages after every single round, a weather report out there for each day as well, or all those pieces of exposure. Make sure to check it out over there on the Patreon. It's like $15 a month, by the way, so it's not like it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to join. And I am well into the profit. You're going to make your money back. I don't want to say guaranteed, but most times every month you're going to make money following my Patreon page. I'll have a few months a year. Last year, I think it was 4 out of the 12 ended up being losing months. 8 of those other months, well more than paid for themselves. So make sure to check out the Patreon page if you guys haven't already. But that's all I've got. Best of luck over there with your exposure, and let's get it this weekend.